to. It is amazing. And we did it all on accident, pretty much, just from being our authentic selves, just from following our passions and not letting ourselves be silent. We have found each other, and that is an amazing thing. Now, I don't know where it's going to be headed, but just look at what we did with that Wayfair situation. What was that, a week ago? I mean, it was like 24 hours. All of us weirdo researchers in our own weird directions that we tend to look at things, we had the whole thing covered. We are the news now, right? And we didn't have that before. So as we might look like we're small compared to these organized groups, we are not, because we are huge on accident, you guys. On accident, just from showing up. And so that is where I am coming from with a group that I just started. So I'm going to backtrack before I tell you about the group I just started, and I'm really going to try to cram all this important information into 5 minutes. Okay, so I recently moved to Wimberley, Texas, from Houston. I grew up in the cities. I've lived all over the country, mostly in major cities. And so I moved to Wimberley because it's a beautiful place. But I will tell you, the social shaming on social media in a small town is a crazy thing. I mean, we are talking about people shutting down each other's businesses because they don't like the things that they say. And it's effective, and it's frightening. And people receive things in the mail because everybody knows where you live. Like, this is something I wouldn't even have understood a year ago before I moved there. It is very bizarre. And as my greatest weapon is my gift of research, I started researching. And guess what I found? All of these people in my town anyway, it's the same names over and over and over again. The same people attacking, harassing people. I started researching, and they all belong to this one group called Indivisible. Have any of you heard of the Indivisibles? Anyone? No. Okay, that is their power. Nobody knows who they are. They've actually fully infiltrated my town, and I found out that they've infiltrated many, many small towns in red states, and they've been doing so for about 5 years. So the Indivisibles, and I'm sure there's a bunch of groups and they all have different names, okay? They are basically, okay, so Indivisibles is Communist Party USA, backed. If you go to the Communist Party USA website and do a search for Indivisible, you will see almost every single article on their website mentions and promotes Indivisible. Join groups like Indivisible. Nobody knows who they are. They have filled my town. Nobody in my town knew who they were. Even though they have taken over all media, they have taken over all voice, they own most of the social media groups there, and will instantly ban you if you go against anything that's on their agenda. So I started researching this as I'm getting threatening emails and things and saying, don't speak about conservative ideas in Wimberley because Antifa in Austin is taking a list of names and addresses and you will be on it. So I get emails like that. I don't have a way to protect myself so much, but I can research and I can start naming names. So I found out that in Wimberley at least, and I invite you, any of you in a red state, in a small town, I invite you to look to see if they're in your neighborhood. They probably are. So the leaders in my town, they were, I did a history check on them. So they began in California. They went to college in California, University of California, which is right now being investigated for the whole Chinese spy situation, right? They moved from there to Austin to work for a company called Teradyne. If we have any research warriors out there, Teradyne, okay, Teradyne. Go look it up, please. I can't do all this by myself, right? So, but basically what this company Teradyne does, they're based here in Austin. Actually, they're based out of Boston. What's really interesting about Teradyne is that they are, I got 1 minute, okay. They are based out of every place that is right now being investigated for Chinese spies in the research facilities. They are also based out of Shanghai, and they work with Huawei. They have the 5G connection with Huawei. The Teradyne, they do semiconductor chips, like what they say in the vaccines. They do AI tech, AI robots, AI weaponry, and they do smart city stuff. So interesting that this couple that works for these people is in Wimberley, and they are controlling this whole Indivisible thing. Indivisible is like the Love, Light, and Soy Latte lure group, where we imagine Antifa's like the military faction. These are the ones like, oh, we're happy in love, come join us, but they're not. Actually, if you go to indivisible.org, they have what I call a manifesto. They have a book, and it outlines all the steps on how to do it. So now I'm going to real quick, give me 30 seconds, okay? So I created a group called Love and Liberty Coalition. Love and Liberty Coalition in Texas. Now, you might see I am awkward up here. I'm just a person. I'm a single mom. I teach both self-awareness and piano to kids. I am We the People. I don't have a bunch of credentials. I just am sick and tired of sitting still. So I created this group, thank you, called Love and Liberty Coalition of Texas. And the whole point of it is that this is our starting place. Coalition means all the groups. It doesn't mean leave open Texas and come to this. No, it's all the groups have one place to go to. It is action oriented only. I have written a letter to Abbott. I don't have time to read it to you now, but we have an email template to Abbott that people have been copying and pasting and sending in. Hopefully we will get enough people in there. Right now we have 200. I think I started it a week ago, and again, it's just me writing all the letters and doing all the stuff. By the way, I could really use some help from people more qualified. But the idea is to break up into counties. So I studied the indivisibles, I studied them closely, and what's really interesting about all these negative little busy bees, sorry bees, I love bees, but it's like these people, they work so hard to tear us down all day long. That is their motivation always. They're not going out and playing and having a day at the park with their kids. They're just thinking about who can I attack today. And so they've done all this work, whereas we have just authentically been being ourselves and haven't organized anything, and yet we've created this amazing thing, right? So now it's time for us to stand up and organize. So I have followed their pattern. Thanks, Soros, for teaching us how to do this.
Yes.
And they are organized by county. They are organized by local groups. What they do, when you see in the newspaper about the mask mandates being because of all the things that they've heard from Democrats, it's the indivisibles and groups like them that are getting together in psychotic droves, sending emails, calling, and all of that. We're not doing that. We're enjoying the day outside. But Love and Liberty Coalition of Texas, we're on Facebook. That's where we're staying because we need to have presence on social media. And if you will please go there, we will be funneling everyone in to smaller county groups. I cannot run the county groups. Please stand up and do your part. But when we organize by county, we can come together to attend the events where they show up and yell and are ugly to silence whoever is speaking. We will show up and we will be a presence of love and liberty.
Yes.
And we will show them who we really are.
Yeah.
So the counties and then the emails, and I'm gonna let the microphone go. So much to say.
Do you want to say?
Love and Liberty Coalition of Texas.
And do you want to say your name?
I am Alexis Ann Moore. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Cody Capilouto.